Got Your Back Pod Stream is brought to you by Mr. Dirk. From casual wear to suits and formals, Mr. Dirk helps you find the perfect fit with the right look for any occasion. Step up your wardrobe at MrDirk.com. All right, how we doing, folks? Happy Saturday night to you, and welcome to Got Your Back, live post-game, live stream edition. Ryan Rishaug here in Sherwood Park, back home after a week on the road. Jason Strudwick will be joining us in just a couple of minutes. Rob Brown as well, and we've got Steve Taylor at the controls. The Oilers, another tough start. What's going on with their starts? Not great, but this time, the coach let them roll. Little tinkering, and the Oilers were able to complete the comeback, getting past the Chicago Blackhawks. Thanks for joining us tonight, folks. As always, our podcast brought to you by our title sponsor, Play Alberta. Why choose Play Alberta? I'll just ask any hockey fan who loves odds boosts and player props and same-game parlays, for slots players who love the massive jackpots, or lottery players who can grab last-minute tickets on the go. If you deposit today, you'll get a $50 free bet with code GYB01. That's GYB01 at playalberta.ca. Coming at you from our Adrenaline Diesel studio. Adrenaline Diesel is a Caterpillar recognized and authorized dealer and repair facility. For expert service for your Cat engine, visit adrenalinediesel.ca. All right, I am back home in the cozy studio, and Struds is on the road with his on-the-road lighting. Looking a little gray there, buds. Little gray tone.
Well, luckily I have the looks to get away with it, right? I mean, for some of the group on this podcast, it would be a rough look, but I can weather this storm, Put a bad frame on Mona Lisa. Still Mona Lisa, guys.
And you sound great, which we love to hear. Hey, you're out there, you're coaching some hockey. Kids are playing some hockey. How's the trip going? You're in Van.
Yeah, we're in Van. Yeah, it's been good. Good little weekend. Lots of good hockey. These kids, they're so young, and they're not so young, but they're young and they're good players all around. So it's been fun to watch and to coach.
What do you do, Struds, when they don't have the right stuff in the first 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 minutes? Like, well, what do you do with the littles? Because I imagine, I mean, the Oilers have had to figure this out the last couple of games. What's your strategy?
You know what? I think it's almost too late by the time the game starts. So you got to keep reminding them and try to inspire them to be ready to start a game. And that's at every level. That's even men's league at 11:30 at night when Jimmy's coming in hot 5 minutes before. So it's about kind of being ready, because once the game starts, if you're behind, it takes sometimes up to a whole period or even run out of time in the game to get yourself into a game like we saw the other night versus the Penguins.
Yeah, for sure. Paulie making a prediction saying Struddy's going to be dipping into Gastown after the kids go to bed tonight. Not sure if you have that on the agenda tonight, Struds. How's the Roxy looking on a Saturday night? You and some of the other parents?
No. I'll be in bed. I've been just gathering hours of sleep on this road trip. It's crazy, especially with these early pods. You know, normally it's the late one. This not too late when you got an hour earlier here in Vancouver, right?
Buddy, so after Christmas and after a week on the road, I got home and I was like all fired up and ready to I'm going to, burn off some of this weight, going to hit the elliptical, going to get going, right? Was feeling really good, yesterday and everything. Wake up. Don't even know what I did. Something in my heel. Like my heel, I can barely walk. I have like a heel injury. It's now getting to the point where I'm breaking down at the heels. So it was a day of staying off of it and icing and massaging the Achilles tendon. And you ever had a heel problem, buds?
Yeah, we
recommendations.
Yeah, you get some soreness, but I mean,
it's discouraging.
I don't even know I honestly, I don't even want to say something I'll regret. So I'm just going to walk away from that one. But
why?
Good luck.
When do you ever walk away from anything?
Well, because it's so easy. That's the lowest hanging fruit in the league, that you have a sore ankle after like 3 or 4 months off of doing nothing. So I don't know.
I think it was the hike. I think it was the hike the other day. Starting over at 61. Thanks for the suggestion. It is not gout. All right. I know what that feels like. This is different. This was an athletic injury. I golfed a couple of rounds and did a 3.5 hour mountain climb while I was on the road, and it caught up with me a little bit. So, yeah. Hopefully tomorrow I'll be back on that elliptical, ready to grind, Struddy. Let's get to the breakdown, brought to you by Alberta Ram Dealers. The 4x4 winter event is here. Get up to $11,200 in total discounts on the 2024 Ram 1500 DT Bighorn. Take a look at this thing at your Alberta Ram dealer. You can find them all across the province. If you want to take one of these beauties for a test drive, check out your local Ram dealer today. All right, big guy. I will give you credit because last game you did not like the way the head coach went nuclear early on. You felt like you might as well just leave the lines together and let them sink or swim together in those configurations. Now, there was some tweaking tonight, but this was a lot more, I think, what you would have liked to see the other night, Struds, which was just roll the lines and let the guys figure it out themselves, right? Barely went nuclear at all tonight against the bottom team in the league and let his guys figure it out.
Yeah, so two different conversations. One, just the idea that when you put them all together, you just play them all the time, you just abuse those horses when you're down 5-1. The second part of it is that, those other lines were going, right? When you look at Dreisaitl's line specifically, even when they put Perry on the line and took Paul Colton off, they were going. So he kept playing them. And everyone, the ice time was a little bit more spread out today. But Chicago, Pittsburgh aren't great, but Chicago is really quite a weak team. And we know what that looks like when you're trying to rebuild.
Yeah, for sure. So let's rewind a little bit and just talk about the start. Listening to some of them talk after the game, like they didn't hate their first period, just, a couple pucks went in on them, Struds. But what do you make of tonight maybe versus the other night? Were these different situations? Were they a little better tonight and just got scored on a couple of times? And what are you seeing early in this game?
Yeah, it's difficult because if you're not, listen, it's a last game of a road trip can be tricky because you're excited to get home. You're like, okay, we get home for one game, then we turn out and go again. So you're looking forward to getting home. And when you do that, maybe you're looking ahead a little bit, but what you need to do is really focus in on just the defensive details. And tonight, there is early in the game, there are some defensive breakdowns that were avoidable, right? These weren't amazing plays by elite players. They were good role players in the NHL doing what they're supposed to do, checking and driving hard and all this kind of things. So I think that tonight was more a case of them not being mentally sharp, whereas the other night I think they were just kind of easing their way into the game.
Yeah, and a strong first period for Chicago. You got to give them credit. Their fans acknowledged it. Anytime they're cheering their team as they skate down the tunnel or walk down the tunnel after 20 minutes, they appreciated what the Blackhawks had given them. The Oilers found themselves down a couple of goals. They come out and it's Vasily Podkolzin. I like that goal, Struds. I like that goal. I'm not sure if Leon Draisaitl made that pass thinking that Arvidsson would have a play actually on net or not. But it was smooth. It was slick. He put it right on his tape, round the net, out front. Podkolzin right there. I just really like the way that line clicked on that goal.
Well, to steal our buddy's word, chemistry. That's what chemistry looks like. When you make those types of plays, that's not hit it to the net and everyone drive it and hammer it in like a fourth line. That's a line that is got some chemistry. And you're starting to feel it with each other.
For sure, definitely like the look of that. Chicago ends up scoring again. So that and some mistakes here from the Oilers, right? So I think you probably point to Kulak on one of the first period goals. Connor Brown, I think maybe on that 3-1 goal. So the Oilers were definitely making some mistakes, and Chicago was capitalizing. But I like the way that the depth players played a big role in. It wasn't just going nuclear and letting those guys try and save the day. The depth guys here. So your boy Adam Henrique with the 3-2 goal. Kind of cruising his way through the slot.
Yeah, I mean that is just going to the net. Henrique, I don't think he scored a goal from more than 10 feet away. Everything's a tip, a rebound, or pick it up, whatever, and that's fine. Those goals count the same. So he's cruising through the slot, get the shot, and just go. And it's hard for depth to score when they're never on the ice, and that's what we saw the other night. And I know that it's maybe not popular, but you got to give those guys a chance to find a way to help you and give the other guys a bit of a blow.
As we say good evening to the man, Rob Brown, who finished up over on 880 Ched. Brownie, what did you like about the way the Oilers won this game tonight?
Well, I think you guys just talked about it. It was the depth players. And I do agree with you and Struds when you say that don't go nuclear. Let's see what the depth players are capable of doing. Let's see if they can contribute. And this is now, think about it, the third time in the last, I'm guessing, 5 games that the Oilers have won that Connor McDavid had 0 points in. That doesn't happen. In years gone by, it never happened. So here's another game where I thought Connor was just, average for him in this game tonight, but other players stepped up. And a big reason is they kept playing them. They didn't just, all right, we're going to just put the top line out as they did the other night in Pittsburgh. They let these players be part of it. And you saw what they're capable of doing, because when you get to playoffs, your depth players have to come up big in big moments. And the only way to find out if they can do it is give them opportunities. Tonight they did, and good on those depth players for seizing the opportunity, like a Cory Perry, and taking advantage of it.
Yeah, Cory Perry's got 7 on the year here, Struds. Really nice contribution. He doesn't always get the most opportunity, but he really is squeezing a lot out of the minutes that he's being given, and timely things in games, understanding little ways that he can affect the game, putting in the opportunities that he gets. Just his value this season, is it, I don't know if surprising you is the right word, Struds, but when they signed him, when he was ready to come back over the summer, I think a lot of people were kind of like, oh, really, for that another year? Hey, like, what's it going to look like here for another year? And here he is, he's got 7.
Yeah, heading to double digits easily tonight. And you know what I think he's doing? And Brownie, you can comment on this one. This idea I have is that on this goal and on others, he always understands where he is relative to other players on the ice, both his team and the other team. So this puck goes around to the wall, and Blackhawks overcommit 2 players, kind of a little bit of duplication on the player on the wall, and the puck squeaks out, and he just right away he gets it and goes straight to the net, walks out into the middle of the ice and gets a good shot off before he's checked by a stick coming in to get him. So he just understands that there's 2 guys there. That means there's space behind me. As soon as I get it, I'm turning and driving the net. Brownie.
Well, Cory Perry, if you get into a game against the Colorado Avalanche, you're not going to expect Cory Perry going through the neutral zone with speed. He can't contribute that way anymore. But when you get into a half zone offense where he gets it from the top of the circles down in the offensive zone, he's still incredibly positive. He brings good things when the puck's in the offensive zone. He doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't turn it over. He doesn't force things. He uses his size. He uses his length to put the puck and his teammates into good positions. And on that one right there, he just outweighted Seth Jones in front of the net. He's like, okay, here I come. Coming to me, Seth. I'm going to give it Leon backdoor. You back off. I'm going to keep coming into a better scoring angle. And he put it in the net. So the goals that he's scoring, everyone seems to be a big goal. He fights when the team needs a jolt. He goes out and throws a big hit when he needs to. He'll somehow get involved in something if the team needs a spark. Of all the players on the team, he understands the game and the gamesmanship more than anyone else. And I think that's why he's been valuable for this team this year, adding with the 7th goal of the season being a 4th line player.
Let's get to the Weiss Johnson sound box. If it's time for a new furnace, garage heater, or hot water tank, Weiss Johnson's there for all your home comfort needs. Specializing in servicing your existing systems or installing new ones if you need them. Stay cozy this winter. Visit Weiss-Johnson.com today.
Weiss Johnson, whoa.
Adam Henrique on the team's overall game tonight.
Oh, we're a confident group. I mean, we know when we're on our game and we know when we're off our game. There doesn't have to be a big rah-rah speech in the room in between periods to know that we have to step up and get to our game.
And they did. They stepped up a lot better in this game than they did in the last one. One more clip here from the Weiss Johnson soundbox. Leon Draisaitl kind of asked the difference between being able to to come back in this one versus what happened against the Pittsburgh Penguins. And there's a term that he uses in here, Struds, that Draisaitl has been using a lot over the last couple of months. See if you can pick up what it is.
We just cleaned up our puck play a little bit. I think both nights it was more mentally than anything. I thought we were skating pretty well actually both nights, but I think our puck play got better. We're passing the puck better, and when you value the puck like that, we got a lot of great players on our team. You know, that's what separates us from a lot of teams is when we have clean puck movement, it makes us really, really fast and really tough to handle. So that's obviously a good win coming back.
Probably heard him say this 3 or 4 times in the last month and a half. Value the puck. It's almost been like a mantra. We've been hearing it from him over and over. What do you explain that a little bit, Brownie, as a guy that had the puck a lot?
Well, don't just throw it away. If you've got the puck, it's hard to get the puck. It really is. Because the opposition, they're trying to fight for it too. So when you have it, let's not just throw it into an area just because you want to get rid of it. If you don't have a play, put it into an area where you can win the race. Be tenacious on it. Don't back off. Continue to be aggressive. I think with the Oilers, they create more turnovers in the offensive zone because they're just tenacious. So to me, Leon Draisaitl, he's a puck control player. So if you don't have a play, let's turn back and start up again. Don't give the puck up unless you have to. Value it. Struds will tell you, getting the puck is hard when you're battling with someone. So when you finally have control of it, let's not waste the opportunity. Let's take full advantage of the fact that, hey, we've got the puck. Let's do something good with it.
Yeah, I love that way. And that's clearly how the Oilers want to play. They want to hold the puck because when you have the puck, the other team can't score. So they want to get it out of their zone quickly. You can see their transition, get up through the neutral zone. And, 5 years ago, they didn't want to try to ground and pound, the half-court offense that I've talked about. They want to score in the transition. Now they're like, no problem. If we don't get the transition chance, we're going to take it down low. We're going to pound you, and hang on to it and get you moving around. D-man, today especially, D-man jumping back door, jumping strong side through the hole. There's a lot going on there. It's really tough to defend.
I think it has to do with not dumping the puck in too much as well. Because, Leon admitted a little piece of him dies every time he knows he's just got to dump the puck in. But yeah, that's one of the things he really appreciates about Podkolzin is that there's not a lot of wasted plays off of his stick. The guy, when he gets the puck on his stick, generally it's either a positive or a neutral play, like 95% of the time. Very seldom does it die. And I think that's something Draisaitl respects and appreciates from his wingers and people who play with him, not to throw it away, value the puck, make a play, and I think he notices that, and that means something to him. And I think it's why we're hearing him say that and talk about that repeatedly. Brownie, Blackhawks made a mistake, boy, in that situation, given the Oilers their first power play of the game. At that point in time, the depth scorers got them back in the game, and the power play came up huge there.
Well, the Blackhawks did a good job all night long staying out of the penalty box. And most teams have been doing that. They know it's too dangerous. But you allowed an Oilers team into the game. They've taken control of the game because at that point the Oilers were getting the only scoring chances. And then when you take that penalty, I tell you, I've been that guy. When you give the other team a power play later in a hockey game, and you're the guy going to the box, you're like, oh no, this isn't going to end up well. And the Oilers power play, this was the recipe of success for the Oilers for many, many years. Keep the game close, get to the third period, you're tied, get a power play, you score. And what I liked about that is they were aggressive on the power play. Leon Draisaitl had the puck. Connor McDavid had gone to his spot down by the goal line waiting for the puck. But Leon saw, okay, I got Hyman by himself in front of the net. I'm going to shoot it. I might score. If not, Hyman's going to out-battle the defenseman. And good on Zach Hyman fighting both the defenseman and the view from the bubble to find that puck and put it in. But the game was over. As soon as the Oilers got that power play, I don't know about you two, Struds, but when the Oilers got the power play, you knew it was just a matter of time for them to score on it.
Yeah, they did look confident, but they were very patient, I thought, in that power play. They were, kind of going from from the side up to the top, back over, and just trying to look for the right play. And when it didn't materialize, Leon, like you said, saw an opportunity that we haven't seen them do that much, right? Just basically that's the very definition, just getting the puck to the net. Like he wasn't trying to score there. He was just trying to give his the garbage man a chance to pick up some trash and dump it in.
So then it comes to protecting that lead. And I wouldn't say there weren't any crazy moments, but I thought Calvin Pickard, considering maybe one he would have wanted back in the earlier part of the game, I thought he did a really nice job and was really steady on a night where it was like he was maybe fighting through it a little bit, Struds. I thought he did a really good job late in the game after the Oilers had carried a lot of the play, and he did his job there.
Well, Chicago really got going. Now, remember, this is a back-to-back and a situation for them. And I saw they started well, then kind of got soft, and then got going again around 4 or 5 minutes left in the game. So the pressure was on. They were coming. They don't have a ton of offensive firepower like, the Oilers might have had in a similar situation. But Pickard was solid. And the D-men, like Ekholm, that's playoff style Ekholm right there. What he was doing in front of the net with the slashing, the cross-checking, like that's the clearest set of prison rules we've seen from Ekholm, at least this year. But that's playoff Ekholm. That's what it's going to look like, guys.
Well, with Schauger too, with Pickard, when you're in a game where your team is dominating, and the Oilers fought back in this game in the second and third period, they were dominating. As Pickard, you can't make a mistake. You just can't, because your team's a better team. Their goalie's having a good night, but just don't make a mistake. And going into the third period, you're thinking, okay, Pickard's going to have to come up with one save. I don't know when it's going to be in this period, but he's going to have to come up with one save. And he came up with two on the penalty kill. The Oilers did a fantastic job for 19 minutes, but then they took the penalty, 6 versus 4, 2 big saves for Calvin Pickard. He's 10-4 on the season as your backup goaltender. That is pretty good. So Calvin Pickard wasn't the best start he had all year, but he gave him a quality start, and that's what you want out of your backup.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, we got more to break down coming up in takeaways. Also, we're going to dig into Evander Kane. Probably most of you out there have heard a lot of what he had to say in the press conference that happened yesterday. And we'll dig into a little bit about what this potentially means. So that's coming up in our next segment as well. For now, though, let's get to our Relentless Player of the Night, brought to you by UCAN Youth Services. They got 6 unforgettable evenings of laughter and heart at the annual Comedy Nights fundraiser coming up this March. Great food, great entertainment, a sense of community, all in support of a fantastic cause. Don't wait. Grab your tickets now at ucan.ca and mention Got Your Back, and you will get 10% off. It is a fantastic event. The comedy is great. The spirit of it is amazing. It's a great local organization helping youth in our community. So come join us at the UCAN Comedy Nights. ucan.ca is the website. Struds, who gets the nod on this night, my friend?
Well, I know that my good friend Roberto will be very happy to hear that the winner, and he'll be getting a gift certificate from Brownie's favorite restaurant, Vasily Podkolzin. Right, this guy comes in tonight, a goal and assist, 5 goals now in the season. Nothing but love from Rob Brown for my man Vasily.
I love it.
I'm a huge fan of the Colson. I really am. And when he got moved down and played on the third line with Henrique, I thought he helped control that line too. The goal that Henrique scored was set up with a fantastic play from Colson with the pass to Emberson. So I thought Colson was excellent in this hockey game. Again, he's consistent. And I know that when you talk about Leon, what he likes with his line mates, the one thing that we've seen with Colson, there is no ups or downs. He gives you the exact same every night. Puck doesn't always go in the net, but the effort is the exact same. He was fantastic in this hockey game. So, yeah, good relentless player.
Yeah, I completely agree. Brownie, you know what? I was going to save this for the next segment, but since Struds did this with the relentless player, let's dig into it a little bit. So, you've consistently made the point that for him to be that top 6 player playing with Leon Draisaitl, I mean, the offense hasn't been there to the degree that you would like it to be for a top 6 player. But the other part of his game to me that's been really consistent has been the quality of his playmaking. He has not had many nights where we're going, boy, the puck died on his stick a lot tonight. Or, he struggled on that line. He's been making plays every single night on that line consistently. So I guess I'll put it back to you. the production is maybe starting to come a little bit more here now, but is it okay to just be on a guy on a line that digs pucks out, puts it on the stick of the most talented player on the line, goes hard to the net, and is defensively responsible? Is that okay if this scoring pace keeps up? And that's what he is to this line.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. Then you need someone on the other side that can score. And I've said all along that Colton, maybe he is the left winger for Leon, but they need a right winger then that can score goals. Because you have to have someone on that line that can put the puck in the net when you have the best passer in the National Hockey League. I like the Coles in there. I do. But then you can't have Arvidsson because they're just not scoring. That's why when we've talked about who's the right winger for the Edmonton Oilers on their second line, I honestly don't think he's here yet. I think that is something that the Oilers could go get at the deadline because there's not enough production out of Leon's line. And I think one of the reasons the Oilers go nuclear so often with Connor, Leon, and Hyman together is they're not scoring enough. They're just not getting it out of their first or second line 5-on-5. So I think that Golden does a fantastic in Pittsburgh with Mario, and Bob Erie was our other line mate. And Bob Erie did all the Picolzin work. He got in the corners. He worked hard. He was good sound defensively. He kept plays alive. And he had a long career in the National Hockey League. Picolzin's doing all the right things. If they're going to keep him with Leon, great. Then find someone else that can put the puck in the back of the net. Leon is the best passer in the National Hockey League. He needs somebody that's going to score for him.
All right. Consistent messaging from Rob Brown, as always. Let's get to our YouTube poll, brought to you by DeBoer's Golf Shop and Fitting Center, helping you play better golf since 1999. They got that TrackMan fitting bay, couple of them that are awesome. Great instruction from the crew down there. Support for any merchandise that you might want to buy. They got great clothing. Go down, check out their pro shop style atmosphere, 5311 99th Street here in Edmonton. Steve, hop in, buddy. We will stick with the topic that is Vasily Podkolzin.
Okay, the question on the poll: how many points will Podkolzin finish the season with? The four options are 25 to 30, 31 to 35, 36 to 40, or the fourth option being 40 or more.
Currently on pace, I believe, Steve, for just over 30, I think. He's like 31, 32, in that range.
That's correct. Yeah.
So really, if you think he's going to kind of stay steady, if you think he might pick it up a notch here through the back half, and if so, how much? So we'll get to that in our Ask Us Anything segment. That was the breakdown brought to you by Alberta Ram Dealers. When we come back, we'll dig into a little bit more. Jeff Skinner, healthy scratch for tonight's game. Also, Evander Kane. We'll go over some of what he had to say and what this potentially means for the Oilers' trade deadline plans. This has Got Your Back, presented by Play Alberta.
So at Timberhouse, our guiding philosophy is naturally inspired living. We believe that through design, we can solve problems and enhance people's lives. We follow biophilic design principles in all of our builds to incorporate natural materials, natural light, to enhance all the spaces in a home. When you have your space perfectly reflect who you are and what you value, and it's made well, we think that that just leads to better living.
At Gallery Dental, we believe in blending exceptional care with artistry to create the perfect smile for you. From routine cleanings to advanced cosmetic procedures, our team is dedicated to providing top-notch care in a relaxed and comfortable environment. With state-of-the-art technology and a passion for perfection, we ensure that every visit is a positive experience. Join the Gallery Dental family and let us help you achieve a smile that you'll love to show off. Contact us today at secolandentistry.com.
All right, time now for takeaways, brought to you by Martin Motorsports, announcing the addition of Harris Pontoons to their lineup of boats. Harris offers a large selection of premium quality pontoons with 6 models to choose from, ranging from the simple essentials to ultra luxury. There is a perfect one for you. Start your journey to the water with Martin Motorsports and a Harris pontoon. Visit them in Calgary, Edmonton, Kelowna, or in Saskatoon as well. All right, guys, one more footnote from this evening's game. Jeff Skinner ends up scratched. Chris Knobloch has talked a lot about they've got lots of good players and guys that are pushing for ice time and such and such. It wasn't so long ago he was healthy scratched after a run of average to below average mediocre play, Struds, but he had been contributing. What do you make of the decision to sit him down as a healthy scratch tonight?
Well, I mean, they want to get Derek Ryan in there, so obviously they want to keep him in the rotation. I think it screams what they think about Kapanen, right? You know, when's Kapanen coming out? You know, this is the guy you picked up on waivers and not one of your free agent signings this summer. So I think it tells me a lot about where Kapanen will or won't be, once we head towards the trade deadline.
Well, I think it also, Struds, tells you what they think of Skinner. I mean, as Schauger said, Skinner put together one of his better stretches, and he still finds himself as a healthy scratch. So I agree with you, Struds. We've talked about it a few times, that if they could unload Jeff Skinner, they will try. He's not a good fit here. I mean, they're going to eventually get Kane back. They're probably going to add something up front at the deadline. And if he can't get into the lineup now, they're going to be adding at least two players with Kane and another player. So I think he just doesn't have the trust of the coaching staff. Or there's 20 other players that probably have a little more trust than he does.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because, I mean, I guess the follow-up to this would be where are you at on Derek Ryan, Struds? I mean, he played 8 minutes, was out there for that key draw with 5 seconds left.
Yeah.
I mean, lost it so clean that it stunned Bedard how much he lost that draw clean. It's just a single face-off, whatever. But, like, where are you at on Derek Ryan? Is he anywhere near the opening night lineup at playoff time, or do you believe that it's about, look, you respect the veteran. You're not going to keep him healthy scratch for too long. You find him games. He can still kill some penalties for you. Like, where's the value at for you, do you think?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is respect. But, you know, if they didn't feel that he was going to be some part of what they're doing moving forward, he wouldn't be playing, right? And so that they have him in there. They're mixing him in his games. You know, what is he? Is he? I don't know. Let's say the last 10, has he played half? Would that be fair? Somewhere in there, I'm guessing. So, you know, that's kind of where he is right now. And then, Philip, I think will get I would think he gets an opportunity here in February, just before the trade deadline, and see where they're at, and then get to the trade deadline and see what shakes out there. But Brownie, they'll look to upgrade everywhere they can. And I think that in and around that place will be one thing they probably look to do.
Yeah, I agree. And I think also, here's the thing when you talk about Derek Ryan. Derek Ryan was out in the last 10 seconds of at a very important time. Jeff Skinner wouldn't have been, whether they were up a goal or down a goal. So I know that Derek Ryan isn't as effective as he was. And is Derek Ryan in the lineup if the Oilers start and they're fully healthy in the playoffs? Probably not. But I do think that Chris Knobloch has faith that if they have to put Derek Ryan in, he trusts him to do the right things defensively. I don't think he has that same trust for Jeff Skinner. So I don't think Jeff Skinner's in game 83 of the season. I don't think he's in your starting 20 either. I think Derek Ryan's ahead of him in the pecking order.
17 points in 27 games for Noah Philp in the American Hockey League. As you say, Struds, you have to think if he continues to play consistently well, and I think he's playing some reasonably good minutes, they'll probably get him a look at some point here. I wonder if it's maybe comes right after the Four Nations, for the few weeks between the Four Nations and the trade deadline, or do they try and squeeze him in before the Four Nations? I'm not sure which way that'll go, but it'll be interesting to see if they do end up bringing him up and giving him a look. Okay, the other news that dropped the other day was that Evander Kane was having had an additional surgery done on his knee. Had it scoped, said they had to take something out of there, as he described it. So the rehab that he was already going through had to be put on pause. He has this procedure done. He'll be, 4 weeks, 3-4 weeks recovering from this. And then he will resume his previous recovery in an effort to try and work his way back into the lineup. Struds, this whole thing gets bumped. Can gets kicked down the road. You were thinking it was doubtful we'd see Evander Kane before the end of the regular season before. What say you now? Is there any chance Evander Kane shows up for regular season hockey, or do you think it's done?
Well, I was floored by this news, and I'm not an insider, so it came across. He got knee surgery. I was like, "What?" I couldn't believe it. So you try to do the math in your head, So let's say it's 4 weeks, and the press conference was confusing about what exactly is the time deadline, the deadline for him to be able to play, and what that looks like. So it sounds like he's out for a little bit with kind of doing nothing. He hasn't been skating up to this point. So let's just say it's a month before he can skate. So that takes us to mid-February. And then you have, March, and then, a couple weeks after that. So can he get up to speed and get in shape in 6 weeks and play a game? And that's if it's a month, truly is a month when he can start skating. I think it's unlikely. That seems like a really short timeline. So I feel like this, to me, clears it up, and we'll now see Kane in game 83 to start it, guys. What do you think?
Brownie?
Well, actually, Stretch, to me, it's the opposite. I think this makes it more confusing. I really do, because I think that had he not had this surgery, and all of a sudden they would say, okay, here's when he's going to be ready. Now he's going to be ready on, March 20th. So you're going to get to see what he's capable of doing before the playoffs start. I know that in my generation, a player couldn't take a full year off and come back in the playoffs and be effective. We couldn't. We weren't in as good enough a shape. I know that Kucherov did it a few years ago and won the Conn Smythe. But it's still, to sit out an entire year, if you don't play regular season and be ready for game one of the playoffs to be effective, I don't know, what are you going to get from him? Is it going to be the Evander Kane that you know can be effective? Is it going to be Evander Kane trying to catch up physically to guys that have got 82 games of hockey under their belt? So now you're thinking, okay, we don't know what we're going to get with Evander. So on the trade deadline, okay, what should we do? I mean, we might have more money because we might not have him till the playoffs, but is Kane going to be effective for us in the playoffs? Because it might not be maybe it's not until March that he starts playing. Maybe or starts skating. Maybe it's not till mid-March that he starts skating. And then now you want him to be out there. Is he effective enough to be on Leon's line? Or is he more now a third-line checker? Or is he a guy that's going to be an energy guy on my fourth line? I think this kind of muddies the water a little bit simply because you don't know what the timeline is. There was a timeline with the other injury. Now you've added the surgery. I think it just kind of makes it, now you're trying to guess, okay, when are we going to get him back and what kind of Evander Kane are we going to have? At the deadline, you have to make a decision of how you're upgrading. And I just think it just muddies the water just a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure. Is Brownie driving John Candy's 77 Grand Marquis from Uncle Buck, says Emma Terry. Are you home, Brownie? What's with all the beeping and pinging?
No, I'm driving. It's awful out right now, and my car the windshield keeps freezing, and then my stupid alarm on it keeps telling me I'm about to crash, so it starts beeping, and I'm putting it into park, and oh my God. I'm not really mechanical, and cars are hard for me, so yeah. I might just walk the rest of the way home. There you go. See, it's telling me that I'm about to crash. How does it know?
Goodness sakes. How far are you from home?
I'm 7 minutes from my house.
Okay, 7 minutes from the house. Okay. Yeah, so listen, here's where it's at with Evander Kane for me. Like, you need an answer. Are you going to play any games before the end of the year, do you think, or not? Because if you're not, you know what we can do? We can spend your cap space. Like the difference between Kane, the Oilers having to be cap compliant for when Kane comes back to the lineup during the regular season versus not, it's massive. It's a monstrous difference. It's like the difference between being able to get the defenseman you want, and go grab a top six forward too. Like it's huge. So they kind of need that answer. It feels like if they were going to sort of wink, wink, nod, nod, yep, this is the way it's going to go. We'll see ya. And he'll have all the rest he needs and he'll be good to go. And it's cooked already. This is the way it would look and feel. Kane would be giving timelines that he's saying, I don't really want to say, right? He's not giving a lot of concrete answers and whatever. That's his right not to. It's probably smart not to. It does kind of feel cooked here, Struds. And we'll find out at the trade deadline. Because if they have the ability to go spend this money, that's a huge swing for this team.
But you got you have to work backwards. How many skates does someone need to get back after not playing for a whole year?
Well, in 2021, Nikita Kucherov didn't play a single regular season game and then had 32 points in 23 playoff games.
I'm not talking about games. I'm talking about practices.
Yeah,
He's had 0 skates according to his, right? 0. So he's not getting up and running in 2 weeks, guys. It doesn't happen. 4 weeks seems fast. I think it's 6 weeks, because you can't just jump in and go crazy hard. He's got a wobbly knee and groins that are all over the place, right? So you need time to slowly build it up to where you're going full out. So, I mean, is he on the ice before the end of February? Pretty tight. Yeah. I think we know. I think the answer is he starts in the playoffs. It's when can he start in the playoffs?
Yeah. All right, back to the Weiss Johnson Soundbox. Here's Evander Kane on how he's going to manage all this time off and how his game will look after.
I've dealt with coming off the couch and joining a brand new team in 2022. So I do have a little bit of experience like that with that. At the same time, I think I'll be in a much better situation coming back this time. Obviously feeling 100% healthy and in great shape and ready to rock. So whenever that time is, I'm looking forward to being a big contributor.
All right. Not a lot of specifics, not a lot of real solid answers from those guys, and that's to be expected, right? It'll be interesting to see what the Oilers do at the deadline here, how much space they feel they have. They'll have more information on Kane's timeline at the deadline. That's the one thing they will have, Struds. A lot more information. And they'll know if there's any chance that he's coming back or not. And it'll be a big swing for them if they're able to spend that money and then eventually get Evander Kane back in the lineup come playoff time. All right, that was Takeaways, brought to you by our good friends over at Martin Motor Sports. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, actually, Brownie, here's what we're going to do. We're going to call an audible because you need a little bit of time to get home. So, Brownie, we're going to let you go. And Steve-O, let's do our core Blueliner segment right now, buddy, and then that'll buy Brownie a little bit of time before Brownie Points and before Struddy's World. So, Brownie, we'll chat with you in a couple of minutes, buddy.
Sounds good.
All right. Let's get to our core Blueliners segment, brought to you by HSE Core Services. If you're a small to medium-sized business, HSE Core has your back when it comes to health and safety compliance, from creating and managing a tailored health and safety program, meeting all legislative and core requirements. HSE Core supports client operations every step of the way. Their website, www.hsecor.com. Okay, Struds, we want to take an in-depth look at a Blueliner that we watched tonight. Who did you choose, buddy?
I was taking a look at a monster of a man, Alex Vlasic. He is a huge D-man, young D-man on Chicago Blackhawks. And I remember the first time I saw Alex play, I liked him right away. Huge guy. He's got to be 6'5", 6'6". And he is Mr. Everything for the Blackhawks right now. He was playing against Connor and Leon, all night long. He's their power play guy, even with a team that has Seth Jones on it. He's also their number one penalty kill guy. He does it all. Defended very well, I thought, tonight, as well as he can against Connor and Leon. There was one play specifically where Connor tried to cut to the middle. He kept his feet in the right area, kept his stick in the right place, took the puck away from Connor. And then offensively, for a big man, he's got some decent moves and he makes good decisions with the puck. So the Blackhawks have a really good young D-man here. And huge, takes up a lot of space, and that seems to be the go-to. Tall, skilled, good skating defensemen are valued, and they've got one there in Vlasic, the pickle.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of that on their blue line too. They were talking about on the broadcast tonight a little bit. It's a little bit soupy coming down on those blue liners, trying to get through them. There's lots of size and height and reach and that sort of thing. Struds, what would you say for a ceiling for this player? He's 6'6", 23 years of age, doing what he's doing already. What do you think?
So they've got Korchinski coming. I think that they're hoping could be their power play guy. So I don't know that Vlasic is long-term a power play solution. Again, not that he's not good. I'm thinking like Darnell Nurse. Can Darnell run a power play? Yeah, he can run it. Is that where he's used best in his minutes? I think it's unlikely. I think he's a guy that takes on the tough matchups, moves the puck well, and then kills penalties. Again, not that I don't think he can do the power play. I just think that there's, you got to divide the labor up a little bit. So I think he's a top pairing defenseman, buddy. What do you see in him?
Yeah, well, the fact that he's in all that he's playing all phases. Like, I think that's, at that age, to be playing all those phases and to be being put in all of those spots, I definitely agree. It's the big man with the skill that's almost jarring nowadays. Hey, like, you never really used to see that combination. Like Tage Thompson's a good example, or
Pronger.
There's a few guys. Yeah, Pronger. Yeah. And I think a lot of it maybe has to do with, or some of it, you tell me, but like when you're a big 6'6" defenseman coming up 15 years ago, 18 years ago, you were probably expected to play the game a certain way. And maybe it wasn't, the way your pathway to getting to where you wanted to go as a 6'6" player was maybe a little more rough and tumble than it has to be anymore. And so we're seeing these bigger guys just letting the skill blossom in the same way that all the other guys are. Their pathway can be through skill just the same way, instead of just this expectation that these monsters play the game a certain way.
Yeah, well said. So, I mean, the coaching is, if you can skate and make plays, then make plays. You're a big man. You don't have to hammer it off the glass. And, but he can still, he's still a pretty physical guy. But his skill is definitely there. And I see him as a top pairing guy. Number one, I don't think there's a ton of number ones in the NHL, but a top pairing guy. And he's going to be a fixture there for a long time on that back end, man. He is a good player.
Yeah. All right, good stuff. That was our Core Blueliner, brought to you by HSE Core Services. Shogger, please stop saying buds. Not a good look, buds, says Mike Heel. Sorry, Mike. Didn't even know I was doing that. Don't mean to annoy you, buds. Sorry about that. Quick break. When we come back, hopefully Rob Brown will have had time to get himself home and get himself inside. We've got Struddy's World. We got Brownie Points. We're going to see who's taking a trip. TSN's trade bait board came out today as well. We'll dip into that a little bit in our Taking a Lap segment and ask us anything as well. So there's tons of shows still ahead. Stay with us here on Got Your Back. Right back.
Specializing in heavy-duty commercial truck powertrain repair, performance, tuning, and part sales, Adrenaline Diesel's professional team is ready to assist you with all of your needs, from the simplest oil changes to engine conversions, overhauls, and engine modifications. Featuring an all-new online parts store and machine shop to manufacture, replicate, or repair parts, visit adrenalinediesel.ca.
Ready to go all in this season? Mr. Dirk's got you covered with express on-site tailoring, a wide selection of craftsman-made suits, sport coats, and casual staples for every occasion. Score big with Mr. Dirk. We've always got your back. Visit us off White Ave, south of 102nd Street, or browse online at mrdirk.com.
When you make a mistake, heads should roll. It's not right. And I'm here. Someone has to put their foot down. Now that I say it out loud, it does sound a little crazy.
Gotta look good.
All right, time now for Struddy's World, brought to you by Timber House. If you're tired of those dull cookie-cutter houses, Timber House is looking to shake things up. Their designs harness the power of natural light to brighten your days and lift your spirits, because life is too short for ordinary houses and dull living. Check them out at timberhouse.ca. Struds, take it away, my friend.
Yeah, so I'm on the road with one of the teams that coach one of my son's team. They're U15. And I've heard about this game. Maybe you guys have or haven't. It's called Blockbuster. So it's kind of like Tetris with a slight change. So we're on the plane, and I didn't bring my headphones, so I couldn't watch a movie. So one of the kids is like, "Hey, you ever played Blockbuster or Blockbuster?" I'm like, "I've heard of it. So I'm like, I'll take a run at this thing." So I get on there and I'm struggling. Like, it's really bad. And all the kids are chirping me. We're kind of all in the same area. And just chirping me. So I played it for the whole flight from Edmonton to Vancouver. And about 2/3 of the way that I started getting pretty decent, like to the tune of like 4,000, 5,000. Now, some people allegedly get to 50, 60,000. I've yet to see that. But anyways, so I'm going and I'm just about to break through 5,000. And this one player behind me, he goes like, "Hey, Struddy, put this block here." And so I do it. and it blows my game up. And I don't get to 5,000. The plane erupts. Everyone's just howling at me. And I snap. And I call this young, I'm not going to use names because I refuse to name names. But I thought initially that this guy was just trying to screw me because he didn't want me to get over the top. And I respected that. But so I gave him a bit of a hard time, as I've been known to do. And as the night went through and I slept on it, I realized I think he was trying to make me better. Trying to make me a better player, because since that time, I'm happy to report I've hit 14,000. I don't want to brag, but 14,000 is a pretty high number. So I won't name the name of this player. I know who you are. I know what you did, and I know you did it on purpose. But it's a pretty fun game, and I learned something from a young player. It's like what you always say, or I always say, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
So I'm confused. Did he do it on purpose or not? Did he tank your game on purpose or not?
It's a huge discussion. Like the whole weekend, we've been all talking about it. Myself, the players, the coaches, we're all trying to figure it out. I'm obviously the one who's stirring up a lot of this, trying to get the answer. I still think he did it on purpose, but I think the purpose was to get me motivated, to fire me up, to be a better block blaster player.
I'm starting to think that the weekends in Jasper playing Settlers of Catan are more fun than the weekends of your hockey team. We were playing block blasters, and then you're spending the rest of the week. Do you think he did it on purpose? I don't know. Yeah. Let's discuss it. I think I'm more on Schauger now. I think Schauger's weekends are more fun than yours now.
Oh yeah, 100%. If they're Settlers of Catan would be tough to play on a plane ride. What's the plane ride? An hour? So how many games of block blaster do you get in?
It's okay. But I'm just gonna stop this right now. It's Block Blast. The game's called Block Blast. All the kids are playing it. Yeah, my son plays it. It's Block Blast.
Block Blast?
Block Blast.
Block Blast.
I don't think it's the same game. I think you're wrong, Steve.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, you're probably playing a different one.
That's a knockoff version.
What's your
Are you a
son's
competitive
record?
gamer, Struds? Are you a competitive gamer, Struds? Like, do you get pouty if you don't win, or you get grumpy, chirpy?
No, I don't. But I mean, I do get into it. When I start playing these games, I do get into it. Like on this particular game, you have to pay, I think, $7 or $8 to get rid of the ads, and I refuse on principle to do that. So I always have to wait for the ads when you can revive it, and I refuse to pay it. And the kids chirp me, but I'm like, I'm not paying $8 because this will be a fad. This will be in and out.
I got no words. I seriously have no words. You always been a hero for me, Struds, but now you're a block blaster.
There was another one that came up. There was another one that came up during the pandemic that we got going on, and so it's called Fibbage. And this you actually play on your smart TV. So the whole family, you can have a group of, I think, 8 or 10 people can play at once. And the game itself actually runs on the TV, but then you all connect on your phones. And it asks questions, and you have to fill in the blanks, and then you got to guess whose answers with whose, and it's really they got fun music with it. It's kind of quirky. The guy that hosts the game is kind of chirpy, in some of the narration and stuff. So Fibbage, give that a try on a road trip, hanging around with the parents in the room. If you're looking for something to do, Struds, bring your smart TV, like your little your whatever the thing you hook into the back. Give it a rip, buddy. See if you like that one.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to those road trips where the parents all sit in one room and drink while the kids run rapid throughout the rest of the hotel? Things have changed since I coached.
What's the name of that game again? Let me write that down, Schauger.
I'll text it to you just to make sure you get it.
Yeah.
All right.
Hold on. How do you spell that?
Brought to you by Timber House Developments. You don't take my recommendations. You don't ever agree with me. I can't break through with the big guy.
Two B's or one
roll
B?
the fun music. Oh, yeah. Roll the fun music. Time now for our brownie points for the nights. Been looking forward to these all night. Brought to you by Hamel's Premium Jerky. Family business, owned and operated since 1962. That's a long time that they've been in business because they know what they're doing. They're prime Alberta beef. It's in 14 tantalizing flavors. Can be shipped to you anywhere in Alberta. And for the month of January, free shipping on all orders over $55. Hop on to albertajerky.com and order yours. Enter the code GOTYOURBACK for an additional 10% off. Brownie?
Well, we're going to start first in Philadelphia with 61 brownie points to the Philadelphia Flyer fans. I know Schauger sent out a video. Anaheim Duck Cutter Gauthier was back in Philadelphia for the first time since he forced a trade. High draft pick of the Philadelphia Flyers. Said didn't want to sign there. and eventually he had to be traded out. Flyer fans are mean, and they have long memories, and there's a lot of things. They were chanting Jamie's better. He got traded for Jamie Drysdale, and then they started yelling some things that we can't say on here, and the entire arena was chanting this, and it was the F word. It was the F word, then
By the
Goche.
way, Brownie, did you guys see the other video of the Philadelphia Flyer fan go after the Leaf fan? There's a guy in a Leaf jersey standing down by the glass.
Oh, I
He was
did.
like,
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, like waving his, and the Flyer fan just like hops over a couple rows of seats and just starts unloading on the guy, just out of the blue.
On two of
Starts
them.
throwing
He
haymakers at him.
suckered both. Yeah, he
Two of
suckered
them.
both Leaf players. Yes. Yeah, the
so
Philadelphia
angry.
fans are mean. They were the ones that threw snowballs at Santa Claus. They're not nice. They're not nice in Philadelphia. But yeah, so 61 for the Philadelphia Fire fans. I got 90 brownie points to the two Oilers wearing 90-plus numbers on their jerseys. Normally that's 93 and 97, but not tonight. It was 90 and 92. To me, the two big reasons the Oilers won this game were Cory Perry and Podkolzin. Excellent in this hockey game. Both of them were, so give them credit on what they did tonight. I've got 25 brownie points for Connor Hellebuck. There's three guys to me that are in the running for the MVP. Leon Draisaitl, Nathan McKinnon, and Connor Hellebuck. His 25th victory tonight. He leads the NHL in that. He's first in shutouts, third in goals against, fourth save, first in saves, first in shots faced. He shut out the Colorado Avalanche tonight. Connor Hellebuck is having one hell of a season. I've got 27 brownie points to our good buddy, Louis DeBrusque. I don't know if you guys heard him on the show tonight. He and Jack are talking, and they're talking about Pat Maroon. And Jack said he had 27 goals when he played with Connor McDavid a few years back, and he goes to Louis, what would you have had if you were playing with Connor McDavid? And Louis, right away, I would have had a heart attack trying to keep up to him. I'm like, hey, that is good. I like that, Louis. So 27 to our buddy, good buddy Louis. And the last one, this one's a little more serious. I got 100 brownie points to all the firefighters right now down in California. I know there's a lot of American firefighters down there, but there's also a lot of Canadian men and women that are down there trying to help out. It is absolutely horrendous down there right now, what they're going through. So I'm sending our loves and best wishes to all the firefighters out there. Hope everyone stays safe and they eventually get these fires under control. And those are the brownie points.
Here. Well said, buddy. That was Brownie Points, brought to you by Hamel's Premium Jerky. Yeah, it's been rough watching the last couple of days how significant that fire got. And there's been a loss of life. It's been absolutely brutal. But yeah, we've got some Canadians helping fight fires, some Albertans helping fight fires. Some Mexicans came up from south of the border. Everybody pitching in, and hopefully they get this thing under control. Well said, buddy. Okay, Brownie, you got a couple extra minutes. The people want to ask questions of you as well, my friend. Can you hang in for Ask Us Anything? We'll do an early Ask Us Anything. So if you have any questions for Brownie, you can fire them in right now. Steve has been tracking during the show some of the stuff that's been sent in. Real solid number on the stream with us tonight. We want to thank you for taking some time and joining us. Do me a favor, hit the like button if you get a second, like the thumbs up button. Hit that. And I guess that helps us. And we will get to our Ask Us Anything segment brought to you by Mortgages by Maria. Whether you're looking to lower your monthly payments, shorten your loan term, or just want to understand your options, Maria Gallus with Maximum Mortgages has got you covered. Whether you are renewing, refinancing, or purchasing a new home or investment property, contact mortgagesbymaria.ca. She always does a great job working with Randy and I on anything that has to do with the mortgages that we have. Okay, Steve, bring it on, buddy. What are the people saying tonight? We'll let Struds and Brownie handle the bulk of these.
Okay, so Paulie comes out and says, watching a team like Chicago just makes me so thankful for our team that we get to watch night in and night out. And that just reminded me of, all the decade of darkness and all that, but just good perspective for everyone from Paulie on the team we get to watch.
Yeah, really well said. I mean, most of the players that are there will be there in 3 years, right? They're going to be, other than some of the young players. So very transitional part of their, I guess you want to call it, rebuild.
Well, not only thankful we're not Chicago, but thankful that we get to see Connor and Leon on a nightly basis. We got two of the best in the world, and we get to see them every night. And hopefully after July 1st, hope for the next 8-9 years straight, we'll get to watch those two star for the Edmonton Oilers. Can
I just hop in on that thought real quick, Brownie? Normally I wouldn't talk about people's families too much and such. But Lauren Kyle had a post on Instagram the other day that I thought was kind of interesting. So Connor McDavid's wife has a business that they're launching here in town. And if you check out her Instagram, looks like it's maybe a restaurant or a club of some sorts, but definitely sinking some roots into the community is part of what I thought when I saw that, guys. And like she's an accomplished business person, right? She's got a number of different things that she's done. She's done a vintage clothing line with the Oilers as well. But, for fans that are wondering what the future looks like and Connor McDavid's future and this and that, you look at all these different signs. And Struds, it seems to me like sinking roots into a community and starting businesses is a pretty good sign, I would say. And good, congratulations. Best of luck to them.
Yeah. And it looks like, the building looks really cool. I think that, you hope that the business lasts longer than until, next July 1st. So I think that there's going to be some plans here for longevity, Brownie, but you made a good point. I don't want to steal yours.
Well, I said the day that Leon Draisaitl signed for 8 years was the day that Connor McDavid was going to sign. We talked about it last year. They talked. Leon Draisaitl, before he makes his decision whether or not he's going to sign in Edmonton for 8 years, he's talking to Connor. Connor, what are your thoughts? And Connor doesn't have to say exactly it, but there would have been conversation. They're best friends. They want to play their entire careers together, and that's pretty darn cool. So I think I heard it was going to be a kind of an upscale cocktail type bar is what I heard. Yeah. So hopefully that's what it is. And
that's what it looked like based on the logo.
I'm sure that she would love Got Your Back to do our show from there one night. I think that would that might opening night, I think, just to get her going.
That sounds good. You can make the pitch, Brownie. That's a conflict of interest for me, so you got to go make the pitch. Sorry, Steve. Go ahead, buddy.
All good. So Jared Huntley saying Podkolzin's learning how to work hard and getting rewarded partially by watching Hyman for sure. What do you think about that, Brownie?
Oh, 100%. Whenever you're young coming into the league, you find out what kind of player you are, and then you start looking at other players around the National Hockey League that play the same style. And if you've got a guy like Zach Hyman on your team, you study him. When you're on the ice, you watch what he does. You watch how he practices. You watch film on him. And most of all, you talk to him. So, yeah, I think Podkolzin is learning while he does it. I mean, Schauger talks about it all the time, how he's the first guy there and the last guy off. He's trying to get better. And to get better, Strudge, you know what it's like when you came in, you found somebody that you respected, you watched them, you talked to them, and you tried to pattern your game after them so that you could get better just like they are.
Yeah, and then that's how you become like a good pro, right? You've watched the other guys who are good pro. Who's on the ice before? Who's working out before? Getting to the rink early. Like, that's what being a good pro is. And Podkolzin sounds like he's on that track, which is promotes, getting better, but also longevity in the league.
John Swift says, in all of Oilers history, how many 39-year-olds have been better than Cory Perry? I can't think of one, John Swift says. What do you think, Struds?
Who are the other ones?
I don't know. I was trying to. I'm trying to rack my brain as well.
Yeah, I think the answer there isn't or hasn't been one that I know of that played for the Oilers. Like,
well, how old was Mike Smith in his last year?
Ooh, good point.
Didn't Mike Smith turn 40 here? Wasn't he playing as a 40-year-old? I mean, players in our era didn't play that old because our bodies would shut down. I think Mike Smith was close to 40, and he'd be the only one that I could think of over the years here in Edmonton. But
yeah, that's a good point. He's 42, so
I think he played as a 39-year-old. So yeah, the players are just in better shape nowadays than they were before. They look after themselves better. They work out harder. And one of the big reasons is the money's way better. So you want to stay as long as you can. But there's a number of old players in the National Hockey League, Cory Perry, Ovechkin, Sidney Crosby, who don't seem to have lost a step, even though they're nearing the end of their careers.
Yeah, it's pretty damn impressive. Okay, Paulie, with a question maybe for Schauger. Ask us anything. What's the difference in money? This came up on the stream in a few different ways. What's the difference in money Bowman has at the deadline if Kane plays regular season versus if he just comes in at the playoffs, or is there a difference?
Yeah, so if Evander Kane gets into a regular season game, they need to have the cap space available for him to step into the lineup and for the team to be cap compliant. Even if it's the last game of the regular season, they need to keep that cap space free for him to step back in. If he's not going to play regular season games, they can spend that money and bring another player in and then have Evander Kane step into the lineup for the playoffs, and they're still cap compliant. So it's basically Kane's entire cap hit would be available to them to spend if they knew that he was not going to play any regular season games this year. So it is fairly significant. As for draft picks, yeah, I mean, I the Oilers, I think we know the cupboards are getting pretty bare as far as prospects and such go. So, should a first round pick be on the table this year again to take a run at a Stanley Cup? I would say that, yeah, I mean, it probably needs to be their first round assets they have within the organization, future first round picks. It's all got to be on the table. You're going for it, but at a certain point, they got to start being a little bit careful about scraping the shelves too clean, Brownie.
Well, right now, who's their biggest prospect? Akey, the kid in junior?
Savoy maybe.
Yeah, but Savoy, Savoy, all you got Ryan McLeod for Savoy. So it's not as though you're going to hit a home run with Matt Savoy.
Yeah,
I like the kid. Yeah,
they got a few, but not the high-end prospects that, some other teams have.
And that would be one of the problems at the trade deadline. If there was a bidding war, if there was someone they really wanted and another team did too, do the Oilers have enough assets to outbid somebody? So Stan Bowman is going to have to get very, very creative come the trade deadline.
But let's keep in mind, guys, they don't have a first rounder for this year. They traded this year's to get into last year's with Sam O'Reilly. So if they trade next year, not this year's, but the following years, now they don't have it for 2 years. So, I mean, it's not that I don't like the trade they made last year, but is that the guy's maybe they're going to help, maybe he's going to help them in 3 years. But I'm telling you, that was kind of tricky management because now someone has to really like that player if you're going to trade him, right? Rather than just having a free first rounder they can take where they want.
Alex Hurl coming up on the stream saying Duncan Keith might have been 40 years old when he was here.
Oh,
yeah,
true.
Point,
yeah, pretty solid. Okay, Peter Matichuk says, I'm sure it won't happen, but Philp or Savoy should be in for Ryan. Speaking of Savoy, what do you guys think about that? What do you think, Brownie?
Well, it would be Philp. Matty Savoy is not going to play fourth line center. I thought maybe Matty Savoy would get a chance earlier in the season when Arvidsson and Hyman were both out. If Matty Savoy is going to play in the NHL, he's going to play in a top six. He's an offensive player. Having him on the fourth line, he's not going to penalty kill for you. Philp is the guy that they would call up to put in for Ryan. And you said, Rishaug, that you thought maybe before or after Four Nations Cup. Wouldn't you want to wait till after the trade deadline, just with Philp, just so you have more cap space? I don't know how it all works with calling Philp up.
Well, there's the cap space argument, and then there's the, if you can get him 15 games before the trade deadline and the kid fits in and plays really well, I mean, then maybe you're going, okay. Yeah, not that you would rely on him too much. He's still, he's not that young, but yeah, so there's the money argument, but then there's the see what you got argument. So it'll be kind of interesting. Steve, let's do one or two more, and then I've got another email to get to here to wrap the segment.
Yeah, okay, well, let's just end it with this. So Obelisk21 saying, just giving some love to Pickard, saying he gave one of his exactly what you want from your backup performances tonight. What do you think, Struds?
Yeah, I think the second goal I would like to have seen him make a save, but that's been pretty rare where I've thought that when I've watched him play. So he gave him a chance. And against the worst team in the league, they were able to get a win. He had one more save than his buddy at the other end.
All right, good stuff. That was Ask Us Anything, brought to you by Maria Gallus from Maximal Mortgages. Before we wrap this segment completely, though, guys, we got an email that was sent to us. And it's a long email, so I'm not going to read the entire thing, but it's from a listener by the name of Megan Westgarth. Basically, the backstory is this. She lost her brother, Shane, in 2017, tragically. Last year, and the whole family, big Oiler fans, right? The whole family, big Oiler fans. So last year, her dad put her onto our podcast, mentioned it to her, told her about it, and they started watching the games together and listening to the podcast. And so they really caught on to it in 23-24. So this is where I'll pick up the email. So little did I know that your podcast in this year's Stanley Cup run would play such a significance in my life. When the Oilers made the playoffs, my dad and I made a pact. We would watch the games together. My dad would pick up my mom from her nursing home. She has severe dementia. And we would gather at my house, taking turns ordering in food and watching the game. This is when he found your podcast and shared it with me. We made a big deal about Game 7. I had memories of living in Edmonton in 2006, and my dad remembering the Gretzky days. I remember saying to my dad, who knows what the future holds for the Oilers? We can't be certain they will make the Stanley Cup Finals again in a time where we can catch them and watch them together. So let's make the most of it. My dad passed away very suddenly 11 days later of a heart attack. We are so sorry for your loss. Every time I listen to your podcast, I think of him and I look forward to your insights and banter. I never make it to YouTube to watch, though, because I have to be in bed early, but I look forward to listening to your podcast every morning when I wake up. In this time of grief, your podcast has been a shining light for me, a reminder of all the good times my dad and I shared together. Thank you for helping me through this journey. Sincerely, Megan Westgarth. That is amazing stuff, Megan. We are so sorry for the losses that you've suffered, but we are so happy to have you along for the ride here on Got Your Back. Boys, that one hits home, boys. Oh, that one hits home. I'm getting a little misty here.
Yeah.
Oh, Randine sent that one earlier today. I was in tears as I was reading it. So all our love goes out to her, and hope we do her proud every time we go on this podcast. We enjoy doing it, so I hope that she continues to enjoy listening to us, and she thinks, and hopefully her father is up above watching and listening too.
Yeah, 100%. All right, Megan, thanks so much for that email. Brownie, wonderful job tonight, buddy. Look forward to chatting with you in a couple of days. What have the Oilers got? So they've got Monday night against the LA Kings. We'll chat post-game then.
Sounds good. Should be a fun one.
Okay, sounds good. That is Rob Brown. We'll chat in a couple of days, buddy. Okay, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to take a lap. We'll have lots more podcast ahead. We've got our play of the day coming as well. So stay with us here on Got Your Back, presented by Play Alberta.
With over 18 years in the industry, Kelly Zaretsky and her team at Blue Summit Accounting deliver client-focused solutions and financial guidance for success in a simple and comfortable way. Whether it's for corporate or personal needs, Blue Summit Accounting can help with taxes, estate planning, financial services, bookkeeping, and more. Get in touch today. Email bluesummitacct@gmail.com or call 780-416-9662.
Thinking of that dream vacation? A quick winter escape? Well, flight delays are dreadful. Hospital visits, not fun. Alberta Blue Cross gives you coverage for emergency medical care, cancellations, and lost baggage. Flexibility, reliability, even lounge access or a hotel if the delay is too much. Plus 24/7 travel support ensures you're never left out in the cold. Visit ab.bluecross.ca/travel to learn more. Starting over at 61 says, my condolences, Megan. This pod has helped me as well after losing my wife. One of our favorite regulars, starting over at 61, joining us from the sunshine down in Mexico, sitting poolside, starting over at 61 and absolutely crushing it. Welcome back to the show, folks. Time now to take a lap, brought to you by Acon. With over 150 years in the construction industry, they're one of Canada's original leaders in heavy industrial contracting, and they're proudly operating right here in Edmonton. They're always looking for quality people. So if you need a job, if someone you know needs a job, Acon's hiring. Go to acon.com and click Join Our Team. That's acon.com and click Join Our Team. Struds, where are we going to go tonight to take a couple of our laps, buddy?
Well, TSN Trade Board came out March 7th is the deadline put together by that group. And, a lot of the names we're familiar with, obviously Brock Nelson, we covered him the other day, David Savard, we've talked about him. We're going to get to one of them today. But it was interesting to see the two names at the top, Elias Pettersson, JT Miller, both of the Vancouver Canucks. And listen, I'm not saying that the intel is wrong or they don't, they're it's inaccurate. I just look at these as major, major transactions, and you'd want to canvass the entire league when everyone has space and they can present your best offer or they can present their best offer to you. So I'm surprised that I could see this trade bait board starting, the day after the Stanley Cup final. Shocker. I'm surprised to see these two guys at the top of an in-season trade bait board.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, Steve Dryden, the quiz master, does a phenomenal job over at TSN, and he clarifies. He says that's not to say the two Canucks will be traded, or for that matter, a guarantee either will be traded. But at this moment, they're top of the charts in trade talk. Hard to argue with them on that front. It's been all Miller and Pettersson here for a couple of weeks. If I would have told you, Struds, hey, here's a look at the TSN trade bait board. If I would have told you on like September 15th, take a look, and those two guys would have been sitting on top of it, you'd be going, what the hell happened?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a disaster. Like, let's just call it what it is. You have two really good players, and apparently they can't get along. You have to trade one of them, and everyone else knows that you have to trade them. So this to me is, you know, it's not a disaster of epic proportions, but in the hockey world, that is a fairly significant disaster for that club.
For sure. We are going to pinpoint one of them in our Take a Trip segment coming up, and that is defenseman Will Borgen, who's already taken one trip this year. We'll get to that in a couple of minutes, Struds. Interesting, you know, if the Oilers want to add up front, depending on the amount of money they have, like whether they go, if they decide they need a little more up front. I know, you know, the guy that they've had interest in the past that's at number 8 on this board is Scott Lawton out of Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. And he speed, right? He brings some speed. He can score. Like there seems to be a fit there, obviously. What does that look like for cost? If I'm Philly, that's not cheap. I'm not giving this guy away, right? And then they're trying to rebuild and trying to get themselves going the right direction. So yeah, I don't mind that idea, but do you value that over because let's assume Kane's out. It's not that they can't fit the money. It's that the acquisition cost is the challenge for the Oilers. They don't have that much to send out the door. So can they get that player and a D-man that, you know, everybody so
be tight.
So deliciously wants, just with acquisition costs, like the assets you have to send their way for both.
Yeah. There will be lots of trade talk on this show over the next couple of months. All right, Struds, what else is going on around the league?
Well, go to Utah, and I really like the way Utah is going, or the direction they're heading as a team. And unfortunately, Dylan Guenther, a young guy from around Edmonton, out indefinitely. So they're not sure how long he's going to be out, but he's a good young player, and this guy can score. He's going to score a truck full of goals over his career. But without him in his lineup, they called up their former captain, Shane Doan's son, Josh Doan, and he's up. And I think he's also going to be a player. Lots of speed, pretty big body.
Yeah, Doan's kid it's interesting. It was, what a great NHL debut he had. And I know you're real good buddies with Shane, well-known to be one of the better guys around and better teammates around. Pretty cool. I mean, between him, you got Jerome, you know, he's got some youngins coming along too that are pretty awesome. Like some former Blazer alumni with some pretty strong young NHL prospects here.
Yeah. Then another guy, Mike Josephson, I played with as well. His son was drafted, I think, in the second round. If I'm remembering correctly. So yeah, that team produced a lot of good hockey players, but also some pretty good athletes. So it'll be interesting.
And how about that DuPont kid? There's that DuPont kid too. That's Mickey DuPont's son, who I played with in Kamloops. Yeah. He was a couple of years behind you. I don't know if you knew Mickey at all, but his kid is unreal.
Yeah, having amazing, because he's underage, I believe, in the Western League, and just destroying the league right now as a defenseman. Very talented. So Mickey, Landon DuPont. That's a name you want to keep on your radar if you're a hockey fan.
All right. That was Taking a Lap, brought to you by our good friends over at Acon. Okay, let's dig in to some trade speculation, because it is that time of year. And it'll be brought to you by Alberta Blue Cross. Who's going to be taking a trip? Well, if you're planning a trip, whether it's a dream vacation, a quick winter escape, or a trip to watch the Oilers play, don't forget travel insurance. Alberta Blue Cross has your back with emergency medical care, cancellations, lost baggage, flexibility, reliability, even lounge access or a hotel if the delay is too much. Visit ab.bluecross.ca/travel to learn more. So Will Borgen is a player that was part of one of the bigger trades in the league so far this year. Went for Capo Caco to the New York Rangers, Struds. And there is some thought, with things going so sideways in New York, that maybe they would divest themselves of the assets, try and get some futures or something for him, because he is an unrestricted free agent coming up here. But what do we make of this defenseman?
So he would not be a household name. And that's no disrespect meant to Will, but he's a big right shot defenseman, more knowing as Moen as a bit of a more physical defenseman, not a massive point producer, but he's a big guy. He skates pretty well. And he hasn't played a ton of games. He's like 250 NHL games or so around there, somewhere in that area. And, Sabres, then over to Seattle, now New York, and then probably on the move again at some point here. This is the type of player, like, I want to say he'd be similar to Ty Emberson in as far as a comparison where he fits on a team right now. I think he's a third pairing right shot defenseman, and there's value to that. He makes just under $3 million. So, if the Rangers do decide they're going to, unload some players, probably hold on to half of that and get a decent little return. Not a first rounder, that's for sure, but maybe second, third, some package of something like we've seen before.
Yeah. I think if the Oilers go out and grab a player like that, I think that's a signal that they believe Brett Kulak will fit on the right side in the, in the second pairing. Then it jams them up with a couple of righties in their third pairing as well. So I don't necessarily, for the Oilers, I'm not sure that a third pairing right shot guy is the answer. If it's going to be a right shot guy, it's got to be a second pairing guy for the Oilers.
Yeah, no, I don't see Will as a solution. I honestly, I see him as similar to Emberson. So I just don't think I don't see that as a massive upgrade, because if you put him on the second pairing, he's pretty good, but I just don't think he's a big upgrade on Emberson at this point.
Yeah. I wonder, the Rangers are going to be interesting heading into this year's, this next couple of months here. Like, talk about expectations versus where they're at. Just all sorts of disruptions internally, disruptions through management. The owners can't love what's going on here. The idea that they're going to be selling off assets is like, it's kind of mind numbing from where the season started for them.
They got a pretty long ways. They're 6 points out of a wild card spot, and they got to jump massive amount of teams. Now, it's not impossible. There's still half a season. Like, that's not, and this team does have a lot of firepower.
Yeah,
I've watched them a couple times. They don't, what the games I've seen, they don't have a ton of life. And so let's just look back to the Oilers' last game against Pittsburgh. That was a lifeless type game from the Oilers for the first period. And I've seen the Rangers play 60 minutes of lifeless hockey where there's not a lot of jump. You're not first to pucks. You're not having heavy stick, like all those little things that do make a difference. They've got skill, but you've got to bring life to the game. And I don't feel like there's a ton of life as I watch those guys play night in, night out.
All right. That was Taking a Trip, brought to you by Alberta Blue Cross. And we'll continue to highlight one particular potential mover each show as we hurtle towards the trade deadline coming up. Steve, we didn't wrap up the poll, buddy. Why don't you hop in and help us do that before we get to our scoreboard and wrapping things up?
Okay, so again, the question on the poll, how many points will Podkolzin finish the season with? And just as a reminder, he's currently got 5 goals, 11 assists, 16 points, so he's on track for about 31. And the most popular answer or choice given was 31 to 35 points, so 41% of respondents said 31 to 35. Next was 33%, 25 to 30, and then 36 to 40, 19%, and only 7% think that he'll hit 40 or more.
He'd have to pick up the pace, Struds, to get to 40 or more. What do you think? And he'd have to stay on that line, I would say, for the rest of the season, probably.
Oh, for sure. I think I actually punched it in as, I can't remember, was it 36 to 40? I think I put in there. Yeah. I think there's a chance, like, he's only going to continue to improve and get better and get the feeling. Now, the problem is the league tightens up a bit second half of the season, so goals aren't as easy to come by. But the Oilers have also played at a higher winning percentage in the second half of seasons the last number of years. So that would also help. So I think there's a chance he could break 40.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you. I think he's getting more and more confident, and the quality of his play just doesn't dip. And I think as the offensive confidence comes, I think he'll really come close to pushing that 40-point plateau. Okay, tons of action around the National Hockey League tonight. We're going to dig into some of it here as it pertained to the Oilers, brought to you by Canadian Club. The all-new CC Classic 18-year-old high proof comes in at an incredible 58%, their highest proof Canadian Classic to date. It's a full-bodied whiskey with aromas of caramel, toffee, spicy vanilla, and rich oak with a butterscotch finish. I want to say, was it 15 games on the schedule tonight, Struds?
15.
We still have some in progress. Yeah, a couple in progress.
Yeah, and the one in progress do impact the Edmonton Oilers. But the Jets won today over the Avs 3-0. Oilers a couple goals in that one. Other kind of related to the Edmonton Oilers, I think that the Canucks would be one you're interested in. They beat the Maple Leafs 3-0. So they're trying to get it going. Quinn Hughes with a goal in that one. And then currently in action, we've got the Rangers and the Knights tied 1-1, and then the Kings and Flames tied 1-1. Both of those are in the second intermission. So those will, kind of impact if you're an Oilers fan. Obviously, you want both those Kings and Golden Knights to lose tonight. So you're cheering for the Flames and the Rangers.
For sure. Yeah, it's incredibly tight out east, hey? Like a lot of discussion about how things being so tight in the Eastern Conference standings maybe affect this upcoming trade deadline. Like there's so many teams feeling like they're kind of in the mix, and can it stay this tight right up to the trade deadline? And what will that look like? So many teams within striking distance here.
Yeah. No, like the Montreal Canadiens, right? They've surged recently. They've got, there's seven wins in the last 10 games. Like they think they're in there. The Penguins keep somehow hanging around. I don't know how that's happening, but Columbus Blue Jackets, who would have thought that with what's happened to them, that terrible incident, and then, just their team. And then the Rangers, can the Rangers put a run on? Can the Islanders? I think the Islanders have rattled off 3 in a row here. I think they've won 3. So it is tight out there, and it could drive the prices up to try to cajole a GM that's still a striking distance of a playoff spot to give you the guy you want.
Jackets with 4 in a row here. Red Wings 6. And that's before results are all in tonight. So she's going to be tight. She's going to be a tight finish right to the end. All right, time for us to wrap up the show. Let's check in with our play of the day. Our Gallery Dental play of the day. The first step towards a stress-free dental experience is Gallery Dental, with modern dentistry for today's patient, with the most up-to-date dentistry, sedation, implants, and so much more. Contact Gallery Dental, YEG.com. You have something in mind, Struds, for this one?
I do, yeah. Ovechkin scored again tonight, 20th goal of the year, and I believe that's his 20th consecutive season with 20 goals, which is mind-blowing. Mind-blowing to think of that consistency. Nuts. Yeah,
is
that's
probably
why he's going to break the record.
He's probably getting there this year, isn't he?
He's getting there. I never thought anyone would get to this record. And I'm talking about him getting it this year, even with, 5-week injury.
You know who one of the ones a couple of guys I remember very, very early on first posing this question. Gregor is a huge Ovechkin fan. I recall him years ago talking about this before anybody else was. You were on his show. Do you remember that? He's been beating that drum for a long time, hasn't he?
He has. Yeah. He loves the stats and the numbers, and he was right. I just didn't think it would happen. I thought that he'd have more injuries, right? Miss a year or whatever, and he hasn't had that. You look at Austin Matthews, had a lot of challenges with health. They think he's a guy that can challenge, but he's been more so this year. But you got to be on the ice to score goals, that many goals at least.
Yeah, incredible stuff. All right, that'll wrap the show. Struds, have a great rest of your trip, and we'll chat with you in a couple of days, pal.
Looking forward to it, guys.
All right, Steve, thanks, buddy. Great job as always behind the scenes, my friend. I know it was a push for you. You had all kinds of kids hockey today, but you came in and you produced a clean show, buddy.
Yeah, it was a fun one. Semifinals for us tomorrow morning, so back at her.
Oh, good luck.
Ooh,
thanks, buddy.
Good luck, buddy. Good luck. Send us into the chat. Let us know how you did.
Sounds good.
Thanks to all of you for joining us. To Megan Westgard, thank you so much for the heartfelt email. Loved sharing that with everybody, and thank you for listening. Love having you as part of Got Your Back. Thanks to all of you for tuning in, for your downloads and your subscriptions. Hey, tell a friend. Why not? Help us out. Like and subscribe on all our channels, and we will keep bringing the content. We'll chat in a couple of days. Cheers, everyone.